We hear about how far behind Toyota is with EVs as they doubled down so much into hybrid technology and totally missed the boat on emission-free technology, or caught the wrong boat, might be a better way to put it. For some reason, they believed in hydrogen as fuel for zero emissions. I mean, the math was not hard around this, and how much more energy or fossil fuel consumption it takes to make hydrogen when compared to the efficiency of battery-powered vehicles. Also, the logistics of hydrogen compared to electricity, which is already everywhere. Toyota bet on the wrong horse and could go bankrupt as a result. Yes, even the almighty Toyota is on thin ice. But is it too late for Toyota? What can they do? Well, for starters, as they specialise so much in hybrid technology, Toyota have been making hybrids for a long time, and as a result are able to offer great fuel efficiency with their vehicles. I would say it won't be too much of a step for them to convert a lot more of their vehicles into plug-in hybrids too. Toyota is also a very affordable brand or vehicle. They don't have labour unions, well, at least not in the US. Therefore, if this EV bill for Build Back Better, Toyota could become a much lower cost vehicle and incredibly affordable with PHEV. If car owners continue to plug in their hybrids, then they may get about 50 miles of range, perhaps if they make the batteries a little bit larger too. Therefore, they may be close to zero emissions. Yes, I know hybrids are not what we want to hear. We want everyone in electric, and you don't like me saying that plug-in hybrids may end up being big sellers. Hey, I want all cars to be electric too, but I try and be realistic. There are not enough batteries to make enough electric cars yet, and there won't be for some time. In the meantime, people want to go as electric as they can, and Toyotas will be very affordable vehicles after these rebates. This might also put US legacy autos at a disadvantage. For one, I'm not even sure how well they're going to be able to make plug-in hybrids and how quickly they can ramp up. So the Japanese may flood the market with low-cost, affordable, fuel-efficient cars, again, just like they did in the 70s. A lot of people say that the Chinese will come in and flood the US market with their cheap Chinese EVs and take out the legacy autos. Well, for one, there is not close to enough Chinese EVs to do that. For two, they're not going to be particularly affordable. And for three, they will lack range and performance. We already have very cheap alternatives to Tesla right now for fully electric cars, actually from the Japanese. A Nissan Leaf starts at around $27,000. After the current tax credit, that comes down to under $20,000. That's right, the Leaf currently still qualifies for the tax credit, implying Nissan have not even sold 200,000 electric vehicles in the US, despite at this price point. I repeat, there is already a low-cost electric vehicle in the US available for under $20,000. Yet some people seem to think that some Chinese brand that has far less consumer confidence than an established brand like Nissan, with some micro EV for about $25,000, will enter the market and eat up legacy autos market share, and even some of Tesla's market share. And I would say that this Chinese EV would probably be inferior to the Nissan Leaf, almost definitely, let alone a Chinese EV that actually has a little bit of range, perhaps over 200 miles, and actually looks okay with some luxury. Well, you're going to be well over twice the price of the Leaf there. The market has already spoken. They aren't willing to buy an EV just because it's cheap. But even if the Chinese did attempt to flood the US market with their cheap EVs, then they would also have to compete possibly with Toyota's plug-in hybrid cars, a very well trusted and established brand that do an exceptional job in making low-cost vehicles that are reliable and now very fuel efficient. Yet, unlike a Chinese EV, the Toyota could get about 600 miles on a tank. So you have the range when you need it, about 3 times as much range as a Chinese EV, and the Nissan is half the price. Yes, I can't stand ICE cars anymore, but people still need cars. And Elon even said if there was a button to press that ends all ICE cars, then he would not press that button. I'm in agreement that Chrysler, GM and Ford are all in big trouble. I am not arguing against that. They have lost hold on their market. They have been disrupted. They have a bill to do everything they can to help them that could end up doing the opposite. Their market share is up for grabs. Who will take it and when is the question. I mean, obviously Tesla is taking it as fast as they can, especially when their new factory comes online. But bear in mind that Tesla are really only doing this with 2 models, the 3 and the Y. The S and X are not really Ford or GM competitors. Can you imagine how many variants of models GM alone must have in the US under all their brands? Yeah, Tesla just have 2. And those alone are enough to totally disrupt GM, Ford and Chrysler. Every time Tesla sell a vehicle, it means that customer didn't buy a vehicle from someone else. Anyway, Tesla are the winners and going as fast as they can. but others will also want a piece of this. However, no one can ramp up EV production like Tesla, so it might be the one who can ramp up PHEVs the fastest in the meantime, which could be Toyota. This could be what Toyota need in the meantime, as a bridge to carry them from hybrid to fully electric, an extra life almost. But they are so far behind in batteries, how could they ever catch up? Even Mercedes is planning on building 8 factories, and Toyota sell about 5 times as many vehicles as Mercedes. Yeah, that's a big problem, right? Well, maybe not. Not if Toyota is smart. I can see them getting around this. They can take a different path from the likes of Ford. What is Ford doing? Trying to compete head-on with Tesla. In fact, the Mustang Mach-E is a direct competitor to the Model Y. Well, for lack of a better word at least. Well, there are other markets out there. Toyota is already a low-cost brand. Competing with Tesla is off-brand for them anyway. Toyota is specialized in making very affordable cars. They can't suddenly add batteries in their cars and start demanding $50,000 for a Toyota Corolla. Right. Well, I guess Toyota in big trouble then. No one's going to pay that much for a Corolla. Yep. So they can't take the same strategy as Ford. Even if they build their own battery factories, well, they'll still be at that disadvantage of a low-cost brand that people won't be willing to pay extra for. The cost of the battery pack is relative to the cost of the vehicle. In a low-cost brand like Toyota, it could end up being 50% of the cost of the car. Compared to a luxury brand like Mercedes, it might only be 25% of the cost of the car. This is a big problem, but there is a solution. Let me know in the comments if you guessed it already. And Toyota do actually seem to also be onto it too. Yes, my favourite acronym I bring up almost every video, LFP. Well, currently Toyotas offer inferior performance, handling and features when compared to a Mercedes. People are willing to forgo these items to save cost. So what if we just add one extra item in there too? Range, or lack of it. Toyotas can sacrifice the range of their vehicles in order to remain a low-cost manufacturer. Toyota is not a driver's car, nothing like a BMW, so the Toyota owner won't care that the car is a bit heavier due to heavier batteries with lower energy density. Toyota should be able to get around 200 to 250 miles of range out of their cars for this. Now, although all legacy brands are frantically trying to secure their supply chains for batteries by building their own battery factories partnered with real battery companies, well, LFP batteries are being made from the likes of CATL, and they're planning on ramping up their production significantly. So Toyota may be able to secure a deal with them. But in fact, Toyota have already secured a deal with BYD too. BYD make the lowest cost LFP batteries for vehicles and are going to be used in Toyota's first all-electric vehicle, the BZ4X. Although the price of this car is still too much for what you get, but they have to start somewhere. I suspect that Toyota's powertrains and motors are more efficient than BYD's, and Toyota possibly can get more range from the batteries than BYD. Everything else being equal, the BZ4X supposedly gets 250 miles of range, which is unbelievable. I mean, I don't believe it. Unless it's NEDC or even WLTP, I doubt that will be EPA. But either way, it's acceptable for the market. They just need to get the price down considerably. If Toyota is smart, they will partner up with BYD in a big way. I can't see a merge or an acquisition, but a strong partnership. And Toyota may even buy more batteries from BYD than BYD use for themselves. Well, Toyota will need a lot more. They're a much bigger brand and could potentially hit volume production. That's right. Maybe Toyota could be the first non-Tesla auto company to hit volume production on an EV. Toyotas are pretty basic to produce, and they're brilliant at manufacturing vehicles. You see, the LFP batteries, or Blade batteries, which is BYD's brand for their in-house batteries, well, these batteries appear to have the ability to be scaled up at a much faster pace due to using iron cathodes rather than nickel-based. I mean, if BYD can set up their own LFP battery, then perhaps Toyota could in time too. They seem a lot less complex to manufacture than nickel batteries, mainly due to how much safer they are, with thermal management being less of an issue. The main factor when battery manufacturing is making sure they don't catch fire. I hope you're listening, GM. Pouch form factors are the most dangerous. Why are you still using them in the electric Hummer? You stupid, irresponsible company. Toyota have also given Tesla kudos in their software, so perhaps they are humble enough to accept Tesla's FSD and supercharger network. They've had partnerships with Tesla in the past even. Therefore, I'm not so quick to dismiss Toyota as bankrupt just yet. They may get the boost they need to transition within a scalable way, but don't get me wrong, Tesla's still going to eat a lot of Toyota's market share. Tesla is eating everyone's market share. It just depends on if Toyota can effectively downsize and remain solvent at the same time, similar to all the other legacy brands. Make no mistake, Tesla is coming to the auto market in a big way. All current players are going to lose market share, and the Chinese EVs will likely eat up even more of the legacy's market share in China. Toyota may go from 10 million cars a year to just 5 million or fewer. That will require about 200 gigawatt hours a year of battery production, which I think is achievable even within 5 years. Toyota have the capital for it and cash flow, at least currently. Toyota's Lexus brand, well, no, they would need to go down the nickel battery path and offer sufficient range, I would say, which they've left too late. So quite possibly RIP Lexus. Lexus could have justified the higher price for the nickel batteries too, but Toyota left it too late to secure a supply chain of nickel batteries. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.